They came out, I think it was early as this morning, saying, "Oh, that they put a deadline for October." They always keep moving the goalposts. Like October is going to be the deadline. October is going to be the deadline. And I've done some of my own reading. I'm convinced that those Tic Tac UFOs are made by Lockheed Martin. I'm totally convinced about that as well. My buddy Jay that comes on here and talks with us a lot, man. He was in the Navy as too, but you as a Marine would know that when they talk about these retrieval teams, right, that go in there, those are contractors that used to be vets. Those guys are they went from making $200 to $400 every 2 weeks. Right now they're making 150, 180, maybe 200,000. They're showing up. Those are the guys that are coming off. There's a conversation that somebody told me one time, man, about how they looked up, and all of a sudden, out of the scabby, like 8 guys came out, right, and they were kitted up, and they're like, "Oh, these are CIA Black Ops." No, those are old. Those are guys that used to be in the military and got out and got paid, and they're coming in the contractors, and they're the ones holding it down. And so you're exactly what you said to come back on your point is like, who do you believe? If you've ever been in the military and specialized and then realize how well trained you are and how little you get paid, right? So, right, there are a lot of professional guys, and it's normally guys that were in the same MOS that you were in or whatever, who knew you or whatever. Say, hey, look, man, come over here. Who know that like that the military will put you on like food stamps when you have kids because it is a government program. They will give you food stamps, and people blow you like, you were on food stamps. I'm like, yeah, man. When I had my first kid in the Navy, they put me on WIC, right? I had a WIC card, right? And people are like, really? Like, we don't get paid, right? But we're dealing with all this high level stuff, high level security clearances, trained to the. I mean, you're a Marine. How many hours you got this dry fire in, bro? I'm just sitting there, click.
Right. Yeah, just what we call it snapping in.
Yeah.
I mean, you did it. You did a lot. I mean, but at the same time, we are the Marine Corps. We're the most underpaid of everybody, and that's why
Everybody.
they keep us. That's why they keep us mad and insane all the time. But I mean, everything that you do, pretty much every day, is geared towards that one specific goal,
Yeah.
and that's war,
Yep.
right? Um, and are we well trained? Of course, we're well trained. Do we get a lot of time to actually shoot on the field? Yeah, not as much as people would think
Yeah.
you do. That's why, like, civilians probably go to the range way more than the military
Yeah.
does.
For
But
sure.
it's the large scale movements. It's the taking down small towns and cities, convoy operations, helicopter assault insertions, like that type of stuff. You don't get to do because you don't have access to it. Otherwise, we would be doing it because
Right.
it's epic. But that's more of the stuff that we get, throwed into. But I got a lot of buddies of mine. They're former SF, they're former
Mhm.
SEALs, and they get in the pipeline and they get into the CIA contracting, FBI contracting, and they get deployed all around the world. And of course, you don't know what they're going to be doing. They can't tell you because it compromised their mission. Don't ask them anyways, right?
Right.
But and that used to be my mindset until you start to hear some other stories about the cover up missions.
Mhm.
And when you learn a little bit more about the cover up missions and the threats on people's lives, especially Americans' lives
Yep.
who've seen things, even veterans, police officers, it kind of turns your stomach because I was one of those guys. I was a career guy. Um, and I mean, when I got out and I went contracting, I went from 2 grand a month to 17, 18 grand a
Yep.
month. I mean, it's hard to say no to that in your early 20s.
Yeah. Right.
But looking at it now, knowing what I know now, and knowing what the government does now, and seeing what's happening now, not just with warfare, because my thought process is so skewed now in the realms of war.
Yeah.
Like I don't trust anybody anymore. You guys can all go pound sand, fight your own freaking wars.
Yep.
But it's those little, like, the little cool missions that you never heard about, the little cool teams that somebody has to know you to vet you to get in it. Like that was the stuff we all wanted to get into.
Mhm.
That's what we wanted, the Blackwater stuff. That's the stuff that everybody was like, man, that's the epic level of coolness for me, right? I
Right.
want to be a contractor. I want to be an operator. But when you hear about this darker side
Yeah.
and some of the stuff that they're involved in, and especially me now being a Christian, I wasn't a Christian when I was doing all that. Me now being a Christian, I'm like, bro, I would never be yoked up with that. I don't care how cool it is.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you pay me. Now that I know what I know about the CIA, about the US government, about the dabbling and the dangerous dark magic crap, the satanic crap that they do, the transporting kids. I mean,
Man.
it gets weird. It gets weird fast, like super fast. And to know that other veterans are there serving in these roles just for that paycheck. And one day you're going to have a moral, ethical decision line in the sand where you're going to say, I can't do this no more. This is crossing the red line.
Yeah.
But look at brother from, I believe, 27 Marines. You know, this was 2009, and they were in the Philippines when that big hurricane hit over there, cyclone, or what do they call it? And I was in Ramadi, Iraq, in 2009. So he's doing like a rescue operation in the Indonesia part, and you know, him and his team, they're scouring this area looking for survivors, and they come across a flying saucer. And as they approach it, they're seeing American contractors.
That is a great point. That is a great point. Yes.
Yeah. And what they think is going on is human trafficking.
Yeah, that is a great point. Those guys that story, there were Marines, right? Those Marines, they walked out. Those guys they encountered, those were vets. Those were prior military guys on the other side, and when they were loading those truckloads up of that stuff over there, and you're exactly right, it was when a tsunami, because that earthquake hit off the coast of Indonesia, caused it down. And to add more, here to go down that conspiracy theory hole, for some reason, there was a aircraft carrier close enough by with enough humanitarian aid to get there within like 24 hours. Now, you know how rare that is, man. Like an aircraft carrier was loaded down that close. That's a great point, man. That is a great point. Yeah, exactly. It's a great point. Yeah.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.